So here we are with another 59 pattern game. This one, tier 9 match on Kharkov. It's not too bad of a setup, but this match does kind of show some of the 59 pattern's weaknesses. Again, to go back to what I said previously about it, it has the hull of 59, the turret of an M48, therefore it has no armor, basically. I mean, it can stand up to hits from lower tier tanks usually, but when you're fighting your own tier, or even some of the better lower tier tanks, you're going to really struggle to block shots in this. The Type 59's hull armor ceased to be good, really quite a few years ago, although it does still have a reputation. It's mostly mythical. It came from when the Type 59 used to regularly see tier 4 and 5 tanks that literally couldn't pen it. Most tier 6s can get through the whole of the 59 with decent aim. Certainly if they can't get through a decent aim, they can with gold. And I lose my repair kit not even a minute into the match, because my turret's wiped out by the enemy with its M20. So I post up here. This is normally not a bad position. Unfortunately for me, I wasn't paying attention, didn't realise I didn't really have any support, and the enemy Wheezy 120 had somehow slipped in behind me without my team noticing. I'm now in a really bad situation because the Bulldog's watching. The Bulldog's already missing hit points, thank God, it would have killed me. I'm getting beat up on by a light tank that's a tier lower than me, and another big shot coming in from the Wheezy 120, breaks my ammo rack. The Wheezy 120, of course, having such a massive gun, crits things like it's going out of style. And my only saving grace here is that he lost interest, which allowed me to get a big snipe in him as he ran away. T-34-3 I was thinking of dealing with before this shit rushed me is being handled by these two. Quite brutally, I should add. The Wheezy's fucked off, he's not my problem anymore, and so I'm able to roll out and see what I can see. Still fairly early in the game. Can't really predict how it's going to swing yet, so I want to try and jealously guard these last 291 hit points. I am wrapped, I've already used my repair kit, so I also have to factor in the issue of rate of fire. I'm only going to be able to fire a shot every half as often or so as I will be able to. Not that good when your alpha is only 240 and you're fighting tier 9s. If I infantry crosses the open, I'm able to get a shot through there. You may notice that on my screen that shot actually went past behind him and missed. But apparently the server thought it was a hit, and so that's good enough for me. The joys of playing for them. So that shot dips just over, I should say, sails just over the engine deck of the IS, saving him. It doesn't really matter. He's 21 health anyway. Unfortunately, the infantry finishes off Sophie. Looks like we might get that ISA as well. But the ISA is rescued by the T-54 who's further along the Crescent Road. Now at this point I'm just biding my time. I'm waiting for the M103 to take the hits, because he has hit points, and I don't. He also has an armor, and I don't have that either. So I'm able to get a cheeky shot to the SU-122-44 there, after he fired at the 103 and was on reload. There's not much point sitting on that corner still, it's getting too crowded, and this thing is big enough for crowding to be a problem for it, and so I piss off back to the base. And ideally I want to try and catch this Wheezy and get at least one cheeky shot to him before he can do anything. I actually managed to track him, but he hits his repair kit and pulls away. No sense getting myself killed for him, so I let the 54 Model 1 roll in. What should have been the finisher was defeated by a bad angle. Really, I should have seen that coming. And now I get to witness the 53-55 missing shotgun on the tongue twister, chasseur de chat, and then I'm left to deal with him with the 54 on its help. Here we have a completely unarmoured tier 8 medium tank against a very strongly armoured tier 8 medium tank and another armoured medium tank. The 54 Model 1 has armour approaching that of a heavy. Not quite that of a heavy, but I mean, compared to the other mediums, it's pretty close. Either way, we're able to chase the Chasseur Char into the open, where he's handled by our friendly IS. So while I have the tank captive here at the end of the match, I'll just kind of do a little showcase of it. You can see the size of it compared to the 54 Model 1 in the background. The 54 Model 1 is roughly the same size as the T-44. In fact, externally there's very little difference between it and the T-44. And you can see just how much bigger this thing is. If it wasn't for the cupola, it actually wouldn't be that much taller than a Type 59. If you just shave that whole thing off. The Type 59's turret isn't quite as tall, but it's about maybe 3/4 the height of this one. However, the cupola is what really kills this. It means the tank has a very poor camera rating. It means that the tank is very easy to see, actually physically see on the screen. It also means that you've got to worry about this little lump on top of your turret poking over the top of a hill whenever you're going to try and fight over one. But on the other hand, the tall turret does mean some resemblance of gun depression, which the Type 59 does not. Well, no, I tell a lie. The Type 59 does have gun depression. Curiously enough, the T-54, T-55, and all other tanks based on that chassis have pretty mediocre to completely atrocious gun depression. The 54s is 5 degrees. I believe the 55s is 4 degrees. And the Wheezy 120 is the worst of the lot with only 3 degrees, primarily because its gun is so fucking massive. The Type 59, on the other hand, has some special Chinese bullshit magic, which means it gets a full 8 degrees of gun depression, despite having the exact same general design as a T-54. Don't ask me, wargaming. I don't think that's been changed. I certainly know that's how it used to be. I'm pretty sure that's how it still is. So that's, I guess, one area the 59 has an advantage over the others. This thing, I'm not entirely certain what its gun depression is. It feels like about 10 degrees, so it feels like an actual pattern, turret-wise. But I haven't really played it enough to be able to say for certain. I'm probably going to try and get some more games in it, because it is an interesting tank to play. I do quite like the looks of it. It looks just so adorably stupid. There's been a lot of sort of kerfuffle about whether or not this tank was actually a thing the Chinese military designed, or whether it was another thing that was made up. If it was made up, it wasn't by Wargaming, it would have been by Kongjong, who are their contractors in Japan. Not Japan, fuck. In China. I'm half asleep. Because, obviously, the Chinese server is completely separate from the other servers, and Kongjong basically run the show there. The client's different, everything's different. So they did all the research for the Chinese tank tree, and it was them that proposed this to Wargaming. Whether or not this was the thing that was actually proposed and designed, it's certainly something I could see the Chinese doing. If you look at the history of Chinese military development, after the Sino-Soviet split, they were showered with military aid and financial aid from the West, as they had been during the Civil War and World War II and the Sino-Japanese War before it. So around the sort of late 60s onwards, particularly during the 70s in fact, the Chinese received a shit ton of Western technology, and you start seeing this incorporated into things like the Type 59 with the Chinese copy of the L7A1, which I believe you can actually get in-game on the Chinese server. It's a exclusive premium there or something. I think it's called the 121B. Or it might be a 121 chassis, sorry, with a L7A1, but point stands, it's a Western 105mm gun in a Soviet-designed tank. The Chinese still do stuff like this. They have tanks that have, 125mm guns on Western-style chassis and 120mm guns on Soviet-style chassis. It's really weird. The whole Chinese military industry is really interesting because you have kind of this fusion of Western and Eastern technologies that you don't really see anywhere else, except possibly Yugoslavia while it was still a thing. But, it's not anymore, unfortunately, and so you've got China kind of leading the way with taking bits and pieces from whoever will send them military aid and sticking them together and seeing what works. So I could see this being a thing. I don't really see the point of making a big fuss over whether it was exactly what was planned or not. There are far more egregious examples of stuff being made up in the game. Waffenträgerin 100 for one. Probably about half the German tech tree wasn't really designed beyond napkin sketches or basic concepts. And so I don't think this is too egregious of a thing. It's parts from two tanks the Japan, or why do I keep saying Japan? Chinese. Two parts the Chinese had parts for. And it's just, you know, I could see this being done in a fucking scrapyard somewhere. I know why I keep saying Japanese. It's because I keep wanting to say something about the Japanese tanks, because I haven't yet. Okay, let me talk about the Japanese tanks so I can stop fucking saying the wrong thing. Japanese heavies that were added to the game are really weird. The heavies up till tier 8 are basically tier 3s. Like, they look like tier 3s, they play like tier 3s, except on steroids. So it's pretty easy. If you imagine the Japanese heavy line is basically a line that stops at tier 5, but has a bad case of gigantism. The tier 9 and 10 heavies play more like tier 5s, they look more like tier 5s, but the lower tiers are like tier 3 tanks, just really, really fucking big. And so you have this weird thing where you've got modern-ish looking tanks fighting these fucking abominations with 6 or 7 turrets on them and slab-sided on. It's just ridiculous. Which isn't to say I don't like their inclusion or anything, it's just, it's going to take some getting used to, and it looks really, really odd. I'm kind of curious what's going to happen with the rest of the tree, because I really just, I don't know what they're going to do for tank destroyers. I have no idea what kind of projects the Japanese were working on. Similarly, I have no idea what the Chinese were working on with tank destroyers. I'd guess stuff that was derived off of SU-100s and stuff like that. Don't know. We got the Czechs coming as well. The Skoda T40 is finished and pretty much ready to go. I think a number of their other tanks have been completed as well. I'm not sure what patch they're getting added, but I'd imagine it's coming within the next 6 months, possibly sooner. As I said before, the British are getting their tanks replaced, finally. I'm going to miss the 215B. The 4202, of course, is going to be a premium now. I think Wargaming have kind of said they're going to keep the 215B around as a special tank. Maybe a Clan Wars reward or something, or a personal mission reward. I don't know. I don't know what the plan for the 215B is, but I'd like to get it back because it's a really enjoyable tank. I've seen an HD model for it, so I know that exists, and that pretty much confirms that Wargaming aren't getting rid of it totally, because if they were, there'd be no reason to commission a model for it. So we'll see what happens with that. But, I mean, in the meantime, those are the real big changes. This thing, the Japanese heavies, and the coming British tanks. You've got your game modes, of course, as well. I don't really play the special game modes, to be honest. I usually just play regular random battles. So if you want to find out more about them, you'd probably be better off going to another channel. I might try them out a bit. They look interesting. Normally I'll play them like 2 or 3 times with some friends and just be like, yeah, it's okay, but I'd rather just play pubs. Because it's quick and it's easy and I know how it works. But that's about that. Apologies to any viewers who find my constant botching and mixing up of countries offensive. Like I said, I did kind of want to get some words in about the Japanese heavies, so I think that's why I kept subconsciously going on about it. Don't want to stir up the old Greater East Asian hate co-prosperity sphere. So I'll leave that at what it is. Incidentally, if you guys want to grief the shit out of people, that's the fastest way to do it, is to put Japanese flags on Chinese tanks or Korean flags on Japanese tanks. You'll get team killed. Maybe not so much on the NA server, but if you do that on the Southeast Asian server, you will get team killed. One of those things. Anyway, this video is dragged on long enough, so I will actually end it here. Thanks for watching, and I've got some Comedy 2J videos coming up next, so stay tuned. See you on the next one.